Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. So today's I'm going to talk about the field because of disk and the dipoles and its probably some properties and some applications. In all the previous videos I have done a lot of questions based on the rings, probably maybe point charge, elementary particle, like extended mass object and all. So before I go ahead and start with this disk and all, I'm sure you guys remember the field on the axis of a ring, right? Well, that's nothing but kqx over r square plus x square over to the power of 3 by 2, where x is the distance of the point from the center of the ring, right? Now when I talk about the disk, I'm sure you guys agree that the first process is to choose the elementary particle, right? Well, the elementary particle in case of disk should be a ring of certain small width, isn't it? Yep. So that's the first process. I'm going to find the elementary particle. Second, I'm going to find the electric field because of that elementary particle at that point, and then I'm going to integrate to get for the entire system, which is disk over here. That's a fundamental process. We're going to follow that. All right. So let's have a disk over here. I already written it over here. So let's say we have a disk and we're going to find the field at, let's suppose, this point P, which is at a distance of, let's say, x from the center of the disk. Let the diameter of the radius of the disk be r, capital R, okay, and the charge density is sigma coulomb per meter square. Well, I know it's a surface, it's a solid part, so we'll be having surface charge density. Now let us try and quickly find the elementary particle. Let's have a ring as an elementary particle of the certain width, let's say dr, of radius equals to small r. So this width of this elementary particle I'm going to choose as dr, small width. We cannot choose a huge amount of width, that again become a difficult disk itself kind of thing, Now over here we'll be having a small dr. Now I'm going to find the field because of this, that we already know. So let's say dE is the field because of this small ring that we've chosen. Guys, don't be confused. So this dE is the field because of this elementary ring, which width is given as dr. All right, and the radius is small r. So the process is very simple. To find electric field, what I'm going to do, at this particular point dE, let's suppose dE, I'm going to have k dq, this distance x over small r square plus x square to the power of 3 by 2, and I'm going to integrate this to find the net electric field. That is a process, right? Now we should understand what do we need to get along with this thing. I need to know the value of this small dq, isn't it? Well, finding dq is pretty easy over here. Now I just want to tell you one thing, the pretty easy way of finding the the net charge on this thing. Well, if I just cut this elementary ring from one point and stretch it, it's going to be a rectangular wire, right, of width how much dr and length equals to its circumference, right? If I could get that, it's going to be really easy for us to find the charge on this, because its charge density sigma is given over here, right? So let's sorry about that, let's quickly find the dq. Before that, let me teach you how to find the small area. Well, if I just cut this ring from one point and stretch it, this is going to be a rectangular wire of length 2 pi r and the width dr, isn't it? Now with this information I can actually find the value of dA. That's going to be 2 pi r times dr equation 1. With this I'm going to find the value of dq. That's going to be sigma times of dA. That's going to be sigma times of 2 pi r dr. I hope it's clear to all of you, right? You can pause the video, you can just go back from the beginning, you can see what I've done so far. Well, this is very clear step. I'm going to find the dq. Now let's try and find the value of dE. dE should be k dq. I'm going to put the values properly, guys. Do not make mistake over here. If you do the things properly step by step, I'm sure you'll be able to derive it. Well, this is very important for the school exams, like the board exams. And of course, if you know the entire process, you'll be able to do a lot of complex questions in the competitive exams when they twist the question by slight margin, So you should know the entire process of doing anything over here. Guys, it should be k sigma 2 pi r dr. And well, we have this x. I'm going to keep it as it is over small r square plus x square to the power of 3 by 2. And that's the value of my dE. To get the value of E, I'm going to integrate this. So this is going to be my E at this particular point P because of this entire disk. Okay. Let us try and do it. So that's going to be, I'm going to keep the constant out. So I'm going to have 2 pi sigma k outside. So they are constants. So k times 2 pi times sigma. Guys, you can develop a habit of putting a dot in between just to make sure that you have actually integrated each and every part. If I put a dot, I'm going to say, okay, fine, k is there, dq is there, x is there. So, you won't be committing any sort of mistakes over there. And what I've generally seen, saw in this kind of derivation, that people do miss out on certain things. And because of time constraint, they cannot just do it again. That's a problem with this. So make sure that you do not commit any mistake in the process meanwhile. Okay, we have k2 pi r, 2 pi sigma, as a constant kept out. I'll be having, now what I'm going to say, I'm going to have inside, I'm going to have r. And of course, x is also a constant, right? So let me keep x also outside. So let me have x over here. Okay, I'm going to have r dr over r square plus x square to the power of 3. Okay, you might be having a question, why I'm not putting the limits over here? Well, the limits could be put quite easily if I'm done with these two variables. Now, over here you can see I have variables as x. Sorry, r is a variable over here, which is actually appearing in both numerator and denominator. And I'm sure you guys have done integration. So what we do in this kind of cases, let me show you how to do the integration. In this kind of things, we choose r square plus x square is equals to t square. So let me differentiate both the side with respect to r over here. Okay, maybe we can do with respect to t, let's say, So r is variable. I'm going to have 2r dr by dt equals 2t dt. I just kept dt directly over here. 2 will be nullified. I'll be having r dr equals to t dt. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this. I'm going to have k is nothing but 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. I'm going to have 2 pi sigma x integration r dr is nothing but t dt. T dt denominator. This is your t square. T square to the power of 3 by 2 is going to be t cube. No doubt about that. Now we can put the limits, Okay, I'm sure you guys will agree that r will be starting from 0 and going till capital R, right? So when r is 0, t is going to be how much? X. So the lower limit should be x. When r is capital R, the t value should be how much? R square. Let me put it in the red color for your clarifications. It should be root of x square plus r square. I'm sure you guys are okay with these limits, right? For r is equals to 0, I'm going to get t as x. I'm going to put r is equals to r. I'm going to get t is equals to root of r square, capital R square plus x square. Okay, let's try and integrate this. So this is going to be cancelled. I'll be having t square. So what I'm going to have is limit 1 over t square dt x and x square plus r square. Fair enough? Alright guys. Now the integration of 1 by t square is nothing but negative of 1 by t. Okay, this part I have not written over here, this constant, so you can just keep it there, that's not a problem. Let me cancel a couple of things over here. So I'm going to have sigma x over 2 epsilon naught, integration of 1 over t square is negative 1 over t. So negative 1 over t, I'm going to put it here, and the limit, of course, I'm going to put it here, x, and this is going to be x square plus r square under root. Okay guys, let me clear a bit of space, to have calculative space. So let me just clear this up. I'm sure you guys have noted it down. If not, you can just pause the video. I can just probably go back and note it down till here, because I need a bit of space to solve this entire process. Okay guys, I'm gonna clear it up. Fair enough. Okay, that's a constraint with a small board. Let's see. Soon I'm gonna fix a big board over here. So I'm gonna have sigma x over 2 epsilon naught. Actually I can just right away put the limits with the negative signs, keeping in mind it should be 1 over x negative 1 over x square plus r square under a root. You can leave it here, no problem with that. But if I just want to make it look slightly better, I would take out this x common. In denominator I'll be having sigma x over 2 epsilon naught x over here, and this is going to be 1 over x over r square plus x square. this sigma is going to be cancelled. So the net electric field should be sigma by 2 epsilon naught 1 minus x over r square plus x square under root, and that's your final result of the electric field on the axis of a disk. I'm sure you guys have understood this, right? Now taking it forward, let's see, we'll be dealing with the conductors very soon, but as of now I just want to convey something to you. What if this x becomes pretty small? For example, I think I have done with the relativity in the previous lecture. You know, if I just, let's suppose you're standing here or I'm standing at this particular point P. If I come really close to this disk, I would find the disk to be really infinite, isn't it? So if I take this infinite disk, this could be seen as infinite sheet of charge. Agree or not? If this disk comes really close to me, this will be appearing to me as infinite sheet. So with this thing I can actually find the field because of an infinite sheet of charge. Well, let me do that. Okay, well, I'm sure in a lot of books you will find something like this. There will be field, you know, infinite sheet like this, and they will ask you to find, let's say we have a positive charge over here and it is at a point P, let's say at a distance of x from here. If someone asks you to find the field because of this infinite sheet at a point P, distance x from here, let's see what we do in that case. Well guys, what happens over here, if this x becomes closer to this disk, this r becomes very big compared to x, isn't it? Right? So let me just use this part over here. Probably I can use anything over here. Let me just say I'm using this equation 1. So E becomes equals to, if r is quite greater than x, then this part becomes nothing but 1 by r square. Is kind of okay. Let's just put this is going to be better for you to understand. Okay, r becomes infinity compared to x, isn't it? R becomes infinity compared to x. So this part becomes how much? 0. Anything over infinity becomes 0. You can look at here also, 1 by x minus 1 by infinity becomes 0. So E, now if I talk about the field, you can just write it here only, field due to infinite sheet of charge, What happens in that case? The E becomes equals to sigma over 2 epsilon naught. That's it. I'll be using it quite extensively in the case of capacitor. As of now, just understand, because x over infinity becomes 0, 1 minus 0 is 1, sigma over 2 epsilon times 1 going to be this itself. So this is because of the field due to infinite sheet of charge. I hope you guys have understood the disk, right? Now let's quickly move on to hemisphere. Let us say what happens when we have a hemisphere and someone asks you to find the field at the center of this hemisphere. Well, that question has been asked quite some time in the board exams. So guys, just have a look at this quite, with a lot of attention. Okay guys, now the next is due to hemisphere, at the center due to hemisphere, you can say like that, at center of hemisphere. Okay, that could be the question to you. Let's say if I have an hemisphere over here like this. Okay, that's a good thing. All right. So here we have an hemisphere. Let's say the center is over here and the radius is, let's say, r, and the charge density is sigma coulomb per meter square. Now I'm sure you guys agree that the process remains same. I'm going to choose the elementary particle and I'm going to find the field because of that, and then I'm going to integrate it. It's quite simple as that. Okay, now in this case, if I have a hemisphere, let's say inverted ball, so if I look at the ball, the empty space, we have the empty space inside, but on the outer side we have a surface area, isn't it? So if I elementary particle, I'm sure you'll agree that that's a ring, isn't it? That should be a ring. If I have infinite number of rings coming up, that's going to give you a proper hemisphere. So let me choose an elementary particle. Let's say that should be a ring, definitely. I hope you guys agree with this. So let's say we have a ring at, let's say, angle theta from this thing, I'm going to choose the width of the ring, or else if I have this widthless ring, even if I have an infinite ring, I'm not going to able to find the disk, this hemisphere. So let's say the width of the ring probably, okay, this is the ring of certain amount of width. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of modification. So let's say this is theta, so this angle should be d theta. I hope you guys agree with that, right? Then this length, this part should be r d theta. All right, if it is theta, this is going to be theta, so this part is going to be r cos theta, and this part, I hope you guys agree, it should be r sin theta. Pause the video and understand if you have any sort of issues with this. Theta parallel theta cos theta sin theta, that's all components of that, right? Now I'm done choosing the elementary particle. The next part is to find the field because of this elementary particle over here, which is a ring at this particular point at the center over here, right? So you can see, guys, this is coming on the axis of the small elementary particle, which is a ring over here. I know what is a field because of a ring on its axis. Again, that same thing going to be over here. So field, small field should be how much? KQ. All right, guys, this length KQx, right? This length is going to be r sin theta. So I'm going to have, okay, let's put dq, of course, dq r sin theta over this length square plus this length square, r square plus x square, right? Over the radius of the ring is how much? R cos theta. That should be r square cos square theta plus the distance of the point from the center of the ring, that should be r square sine square theta to the power of 3 over 2. Simple as that. Now our job is to find the value of dq. All right, then no problem. So dq should be how much? Same, the area of this ring, that should be 2 pi r. What is the value of r? R is r cos theta. 2 pi r times dr. Dr is how much? R d theta into sigma. Fair enough, guys? So the small charge dq could be written as 2 pi capital R square. Okay, I'm going to put sigma here. Sigma times 2 pi R square cos theta d theta. Oh, I think I'm done with a lot of stuff, right? Now if I come back to this equation, I'm going to have r square coming out, cos square theta plus sin square theta is going to give me 1. So I can say that, okay, let me start from here. So dE should be, okay, let me put integration dE to have E over here. All right, then let's, E should be integration of K dq sigma times, I'm going to put the dots to avoid any sort of mistakes, avoid any sort of things which I'm going to leave back, over, I'm done with K dq r sine theta. I need to put that. A lot of people miss out on this thing. Okay, so make sure you don't do that same mistake which your people and sister has done that. All right, then over here, r square coming out, power 3 by 2 r cube right away, because sin square theta plus cos square theta is going to be 1. Okay, let's just take the constant out of it. Okay, I'm going to have k r square r. Well, that's going to be cancelled up over here. So a should be how much? Sigma 2 pi times k integration of sin theta cos theta d theta. RQ, I'm sure you guys see, RQs will be cancelled. Okay, now let us put the limit. Theta, I'm sure you guys agree that that's going to be from 0 to pi by 2. 0, I think a lot of people has commented in, seen that. How to choose theta? Okay, let's understand this. You start from here, from the ground. This ring is here. Okay, when the ring is here, theta will be 0. Ring is going, theta is increasing, ring becomes at the top, theta will be how much? 90 degree. It will not be going till pi, because by the time it reaches the 90 degree, the angle theta becomes 90 degree, the ring will be reaching to the top of this hemisphere, isn't it? And after that, there is no scope of ring to go probably beyond or probably come back. So theta should be how much? 0 to pi by 2. Okay, let's plug in the values. K is how much? 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught times 2 pi times sigma. I'm keeping things quite separately just in order to make sure that I do not miss out on anything. Guys, I can see one thing, sine theta cos theta, it's not possible to integrate right now. So can you just take this 2 inside, and I have 2 sine theta cos theta d theta 0 to pi by 2. Okay, I'm gonna have sigma over 4 epsilon naught, and this is going to be 2 sine 2 theta, right? So I'm gonna have sine 2 theta inside d theta integration 0 to pi by 2, which eventually turns out to be sigma by 4 epsilon naught sine 2 theta integration, that's going to be minus of cos 2 theta over 2, limit should be here 0 to pi by 2. Okay, I'm sure you guys are okay with this. Fair enough. Let me make some space for the next steps. I'm sure you guys are done with this. If you could not write it down, you can just go back into the that's the beauty of the online classes. I'm sure this cannot match the offline classes, but as of now in this lockdown, that's what we get to do. So this is going to be the net electric field should be how much? Sigma over 4 epsilon naught. Let us put on the values. This 2 gonna come out. I'm gonna write 8 epsilon naught. I'm gonna have, it's a negative sign, so cos 0, cos of 0 degree, okay, minus cos of 2 theta, which is pi by 2, so it's going to be pi, minus of cos pi. Well, I'm going to have sigma over 8 epsilon naught, 1 minus of minus 1. Well, that's going to be sigma over 8 epsilon naught times 2. So the net electric field will be how much? Sigma over 4 epsilon naught. Well, that is the electric field because of the hemisphere at the center of the hemisphere of the radius r and charge density sigma. I hope you guys are okay with this, right? Now let us move to dipole questions. Okay, well, dipole is arrangement of two opposite charged placed at very close distance, that's called dipole. Now what I'm going to teach you is to find the electric field on the axis of dipole, on the perpendicular bisector of dipole, and at a random point on the dipole. Well, if time permits, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to discuss some numericals on that, or else you can take my words. I'll be in the next video, I'll be doing a lot of numericals. So next video is going to be all about numericals on the electric field, be it your school exams, competitive exams, JEE, NEET, whatever it is, next video is going to be completely entirely on the numericals. So I'll be discussing at least 10 numericals in the next video. And in physics, you guys need to understand numericals helps you to build up the concept. Well, we have a little bit of concept in the physics. Of course, we have a lot of theories. The concept is, I would say, limited. Applications of the concept makes it a bigger thing. So we know the theories. Once we start applying that's time when the concept becomes like probably sphere of knowledge, sphere of information. So it is always advised to do a lot of numericals when you want to grasp the concept of physics. Fair enough, guys? Fine, then let's talk about the dipole. Alright guys, now let's talk about the dipole. The first thing in dipole, I'll be talking about three cases. One on the axis of dipole, other on the perpendicular bisector, and the third one going to be at the general point. Okay, so one thing I just want to make very clear to all of you, that in the dipole, the distance between the charges is going to be really small. So dipole means when we have an arrangement of two opposite charges kept at a very small distance, that's called dipole. Very simple fact about that. Okay, now let's say the first thing, write it down please everyone. On a point, okay, at a point on axis of dipole. That's the first thing that we're going to be doing right now. Okay, let's say if we have the dipole over here, let's say I'm going to keep a dipole with a negative charge over here and a positive charge, let's say plus q here, at let's say a distance of, probably you can just choose 2r. Center is this thing, this distance is let's say 2 times of a, no problem with that. I'm going to find the field at a point which is at r distance from the center of dipole. Let's say here is the point P, which distance is let's say r from the center of dipole. Okay guys, Now let us talk about the field. This is a positive charge, this is my test charge as a positive charge. The field on this, because of this charge, positive charge, let's say E1, that should be towards right, fair enough, and the E2, which is negative, that should be towards left, E2. Now E net, the net electric field at that particular point should be, let's say, E1 minus E2. I hope you guys agree with this. One more thing I want to tell you, the dipole direction, the dipole moment direction is always from negative to positive. So the dipole moment should be in this direction. That should be direction of the dipole moment. Okay, now dipole moment is a vector product of your the distance and the charges over there between the dipoles. I'm sure you guys know that. Okay, anyways, let's quickly go ahead with this. E1 should be how much? K Q over this distance. Well, that should be how much? R minus A whole square, right? I'm gonna put it right away. R minus A whole square minus E2 should be this direction, so I put minus already. Now that distance should be how much? R plus A. So this should be K Q over R plus A whole square. That's going to be the net electric field at this particular point P at a distance of R from the center of dipole. Okay, let's quickly calculate this. I'm going to take this K cube common. Okay, let's start from here. Now I'm going to take out the K cube common. I'll be having 1 over R minus A whole square minus 1 over R plus A whole square. No problem with this thing. It looks complicated, but it's actually not. In denominator, I'll be having, if you guys agree, R minus A whole square to the power of 2. Here I'll be having R square plus A square plus 2AR minus, I'm doing it skipping one step. I'm sure you guys will able to coordinate with this. R square minus A square plus 2AR. That's not a problem. These two will be cancelled. The cancellation, I'm going to use a different color for the better understanding. Okay, that's going to be cancelled. So the net electric field should be KQ times 4 times of AR over R square minus A square whole square. As we know that in a dipole, this distance is really small. So I can say that R is quite greater than 2 times of A. Or you can say is greater than A, isn't it? So if I look at this part, R is quite greater than A. So what I'm going to have, assuming that I'm writing here R is quite greater than A, it should be KQ 4 times of AR over here R to the power of 4. Fair enough, because this becomes 0 in comparison to R. I'm going to cancel it. Okay, I'm going to use the red color for the cancellations. I'll be having R to the power of Q. Okay guys, so this is going to be 2K cube times 2A. There's a purpose of writing in this way. I'm going to tell you right now. We know that dipole moment should be given as, dipole moment is given as magnitude of charge and the distance between them, which is 2A. That's the dipole moment of this dipole. Well, so can I say this is going to be Q times 2A, we're going to be dipole. So I'm going to have 2K P over R cube, and that is the net electric field on the axis of a dipole. Guys, quickly note it down. Well, in the vector form, what are you going to do? You're going to put a direction. It is going to be 2kp vector over R cube. That's going to be in the vector form. Nothing much difference over here. Alright guys, fair enough. Now let's quickly go ahead and check what's going to be the field on the perpendicular bisector of the dipole's axis. That's going to be the second case. I'm sure you guys are done with this. Quickly note it down, pause the video, and then let's go to the next part. Okay, so here I'm done with this. Well, in this dipole we'll be talking about the existence of dipole in the non-uniform electric field as well as in the uniform electric field. Well, that I'm going to try and discuss in the next video with examples which will make you understand that concept properly. Okay, now the second thing, the field at a point on perpendicular bisector of dipole? Well, in the previous case you might have seen that net electric field was along the direction of dipole, right? You guys can make a note. When the point is on the axis of dipole, the net electric field is along the direction of dipole. Everyone please note it down. I'm going to repeat it one more time. The direction of electric field at a point on the axis of dipole is along the direction of dipole moment, and the direction of dipole moment is from negative charge to the positive charge. Fair enough? I'm sure you guys have understood. So the direction of electric field on the axis of a dipole is along the direction of dipole moment. Okay, now the second point is field at the point on the perpendicular bisector of a dipole. Okay guys, let's have a dipole over here, a negative charge and a positive charge over here. Let's assume that the distance between these two charge is 2 times of A, that's 2A. Okay, let's have this perpendicular bisector. Let us try to figure out the field at, let's say, point P over here. This is the point P at a distance of R from this bisector. Okay guys, the field because of this charge should be along this direction. Fair enough? And the field because of this charge should be along this direction. Negative charge, it's a test charge being kept here, a positive test charge, that's out of the concern. Now the net electric field, let me assume this is E1, this is E2. Both of them going to be equal because it's coming up at the isosceles triangle, right? Both of them going to be equal in the magnitude. Anyways, the resultant should be E net should be in this direction. Okay, I'm already mentioning the direction, there's no point of keeping the vector form. Let's assume this angle is theta. Okay guys, if it is theta, this must be theta, even this must be theta because they're equal. So let's assume this is theta, this is also theta, with, you can just go with the geometrical concept of that. Parallel, this angle going to be theta, isosceles triangle, theta, all are going to be theta. But yeah, okay, let us try and figure out the value of E1. E1 should be how much? E1 because of this, and we'll have E2 because of this, right? Okay, if this distance is A over here, this is R. So guys, I can put it down right away that this distance should be R square plus A square, and even this is going to be R square plus A square. Fair enough? Now E1 equals to E2. I hope you guys agree the distance is same, the magnitude of the charge is same, so the value should be same. E1 equals to E2 should be how much? K Q over R square plus A square. I hope there is no problem in this case. Now the net field should be E1 cos theta plus E2 cos theta. That's a point. E net, the net electric field should be E1 cos theta plus E2 cos theta, which could be seen as, let's assume this is E equal to this, right? That's going to be 2 times of E cos of theta. I hope you guys agree with this. Of both of them are equal in magnitude. Well, this makes a lot of sense, right? If you guys have any doubt with these things, do let me in the comment box. I would love to help you out there. Now, what is the value of E? E is how much? K Q by R square plus A square. Cos theta, what is going to be the value of cos theta? Cos theta should be A over R square plus A square, is going to be A over R square plus A square. Okay, this turns out to be K Q 2 times of A. You know the purpose of writing it together is going to be R square plus A square to the power of whole square. Now we know that R is quite greater than A. Let me put the condition over here. We know that R is quite greater than A. It means A could be neglected in comparison with R over here, right? So what I'm going to get over here, I'm going to get K times of dipole moment, Q times 2, P, we know that that's going to be Q times of distance of dipole, that's a dipole moment. So Kp R to the power of how much? Over here. It's going to be, if it is kind of neglected over here, Kq by R square plus A square. Now this is going to be how much? r to the power of 4. Are we missing out on something? Oh, this should be how much? 1 by 2, my bad. This is going to be 1 by 2, cos theta is going to be 1 by 2. So this fellow is going to be 3 by 2. Well, this is going to be how much? R cube. That's the net electric field. So the net electric field on the perpendicular bisector of a dipole is Kp by R cube. Now you guys remember, on the axis it is 2 Kp by R cube. On the perpendicular bisector it's going to be Kp by R cube. Now one thing I should tell you that in the Coulomb's law, the force was kind of inversely proportional to r square, right? So if we is to go away from the charge, the force is to decrease inversely with r square, but in this case it's going to change with the cubic values of r, right? That's one of the difference that you guys should be knowing about the change in the field. Of course the force should be how much? K times P over blah blah blah. I'll be dealing with the questions with the force also in the case of dipole, but I should understand that the force should inversely vary with cubic of r cube, right? In the case of Coulomb's law, it was only having with the point charge. From the Coulomb's law we have understood that was varying with the inversely as 1 over r square. Now I'm varying with the 1 by r cube. That's one of the difference in the dipole and the point charge. Well, so it could be easily said that when we go away from the dipole, the change in the force is more, the decrement of the force is more compared to a point charge, isn't it? How much? By the factor of 1 by r. That's going to be a conceptual question could be asked on this. I'm sure you guys will be ready for that, right? Just look at this thing, Kp by r cube. Force will be how much? Kqp by r cube. Sorry, but from the Coulomb's law, because of the point charge, that was how much? Kq by q square by r square, right? In this case we have r cube. So the decrement in force in case of dipole is going to be greater by 1 by r times compared to the decrement of the force by a point charge when we move away from the point charge, right? Fair enough, guys. Okay, now let's talk about, we have done with the axial and the perpendicular bisector. Now it's time to know about the general point. That's really important. We can actually, if you know that thing, I can actually find these two things from the formulae. I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to relate everything with that at the end of this lecture. And I just want you guys to remember this formula like anything, because if you remember, you'll be able to save time and you'll be able to solve a lot of numericals actually, because we can have a lot of numericals coming up on this dipole. So if you remember the formulae, it's going to be a really good help to you, all of you. Okay, now the third part of this, at field at general point, general point due to dipole. Okay, not a problem at all. Let's say I have a dipole with negative q kept at a distance of, let's say, 2a. again, that's going to be very standard distance I'll be choosing in entire of my problem, at a distance of, let's say, 2a. This is center, this distance is 2a. Let me put it here quite easily. Now let's say the point at which we need to find the field is here. Okay, I'm going to actually put it a bit down because I want to explain with certain diagram. So let me have this diagram quite below. Let's say I have negative q being kept here and a positive q, let's say, kept here. Okay, no problem, guys. Okay, this is a midpoint. At the distance length of the dipole is 2 times of a. Now let's say the point at which we need to find the dipole moment, electric field, is here. Let's say it is here. Okay, keep it here, P. I know that this is P, let's say P, distance is R, no problem. Okay, now let's angle be theta. The direction of electric dipole will be how much? In this direction, that should be in this direction. That should be direction of P. So what we can do over here, since we have learned the field on the axis as well as bisector, can I just get this dipole moment resolved in its rectangular component? So one dipole moment should be, a part of it should be this direction, that is P cos theta, and this side will be having P sin theta. I hope you guys agree with this. Fair enough. Now let's talk about this point. In this, at this particular point, because of this dipole, I'll be having a field in this direction, let's say E1, and because of this I'll be having a field, okay, in this direction, let's say E2. I have just actually got the components of dipole moment. Understand this, guys, properly. This dipole moment is a vector quantity, so I can actually resolve it in its rectangular component. I resolved it along the line and perpendicular to the line, just because I know how to find the field because of dipole on the axis and on the perpendicular bisector. We have already seen in the previous two proofs. Now there's going to be a field at this particular point because of this dipole P cos theta along this axis, right? And there's going to be a dipole. If I look at this dipole moment, so this point is coming up on the perpendicular bisector of this dipole P sin theta. I'm going to find because of this. All okay? Now I think we have seen in the previous case the dipole moment. Let's say if I would have missed out there, I'm going to put it right away over here. On the perpendicular bisector, the direction of electric field is opposite to the direction of dipole moment, right? Because I'm sure you guys know that dipole moment should be along this. If you guys have missed out there, write it down. In this case, when the point is at the perpendicular bisector, direction of E is opposite to direction of dipole moment. Fair enough? That's how we had. Same I'm applying here. Moment is along this direction, so that the field should be along this direction. All right, guys, that shouldn't be a problem to all of you, to any one of you actually. Okay, note it down. Now the net electric field, let's say, is in this direction, E net, making some value, let's say phi, with E1. So that's a pictorial representation. Now we're going to be getting into the mathematical proof of that, right? I'm sure you guys are clear with this. I'm going to quickly recap this. I have a dipole moment with a negative charge minus q and a positive charge being here, kept at a distance of 2a. I just want to find the field at this particular point P, which is inclined at an angle of theta, general point. I resolved this dipole moment, being a vector quantity, could be resolved in its component along this and in this, which is a rectangular component. That's going to be pretty easy for us. Now the field at this particular point, because of this dipole moment, should be along this way, and because of this it should be along this way. Just now I've described how it is all possible. Okay guys, can I just find the E1? E1 is due to this dipole moment on its axis, right? And we have learned that that is nothing but 2kp by r cube, isn't it? That's what you've learned. Over here, this p is nothing but p cos theta. So it's going to be 2kp cos theta over r cube. Likewise, E2 should be, it's on the perpendicular bisector. That's going to be kp sin theta over r cube. Agree? Now the net electric field E net is going to be root of E1 square plus E2 square. Angle between these two is going to be 90. So I'm going to have 9 cos 90 is 0. That's all. Okay, let me put on the values over here. E1 is going to be how much? 2 kp cos theta over r cube whole square plus kp sin theta over r cube whole square under a square root. Let us take out something common out of it. So I'm sure you guys agree that I can actually take out kp out over r cube, could be taken out without any problem. I'm going to have 4 cos square theta plus sine square theta. If I can break it in 1 cos theta plus 3 cos theta, I'm doing it here. I'm going to have kp over r cube under root of cos square theta plus 3 cos square theta plus, I'm gonna put it quite small letter guys, I'm sure you guys can see here. So cos square theta plus sin square theta is how much? 1. So the net electric field E net is going to be Kp over RQ under root of 1 plus 3 cos square theta. That is the net. This is 3 guys, don't be confused with this. This is 3. So this is the net electric field at any general point P at a distance of r, making an angle of theta with the dipole, is given as this Kp over Rq over 1 plus 3 cos square theta. Now if I talk about this, and if I know that this theta is the angle between the dipole and the point and all, which is general. Now let's see how we can use it in conversely to find on the axis as well as on the dipole. Let me quickly have a little bit of space over here. Now let's say if the point is lying, let's say minus q and plus q, the point is lying over here, the point P, what is the value of theta? 0 degree between the center and the length. Cos 0 is going to be 1, 1 plus 3 is going to be 4, root 4 is 2. So what's going to be the value of E net? E net is going to be 2 Kp over RQ. Simple. Now if the point is at the perpendicular bisector, minus q and plus q, if the point is here, angle is how much? 90 degree, no problem. Cos 90 is 0, 1 plus 0 is 1, and I'm going to get how much? E is equals to Kp over RQ right away. So if you remember this, you'll be able to find any possible thing over here, right? Okay, just remember this, keep this in mind. If someone asks you at any point of time, you should be able to answer this value of electric field due to dipole. Well, I'm going to stop myself here itself. In the next video, which I'll be posting tomorrow right away, I'll be discussing at least 10-15 numericals, if time permits, based on these dipoles and the other part of the electric field. So well, this is the end of this electric field. I'll be entering into the potential, energy, potentials, and then Gauss laws in the upcoming videos. But one more videos I want to dedicate to this thing when we have variable electric field, probably, and more questions on dipole. Let's see how the dipole could be a good resource to make questions in any competitive exam, guys. Well, thanks for watching, keep learning, and if you have any doubts in this, do let me in the comment box, and I'm gonna see you guys really very soon. All right then, be safe, see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.